There was a man who ran for his life through deserts and caves, hunted like an animal, stripped of everything he thought he deserved. His own king wanted him dead. His family was torn apart. He had anointed him to lead a nation, yet here he was, sleeping in caves, eating scraps, watching over his shoulder every single moment. Everyone who looked at him saw a fugitive. Everyone except God. And in those darkest years of running, something extraordinary was happening inside him. Something that would transform him into the greatest king his nation would ever know. This is the story of David. Not the king we remember from Sunday school, but the broken, hunted man who became unbreakable. This message matters because most of us are living it right now. We're waiting for something. We're running from something. We're wondering if God forgot about us, if we've missed our moment, if we're too damaged, too delayed, too broken to ever become who we're supposed to be. We watch other people step into their destiny while we're still in the wilderness. We see others crowned while we're still hiding. And the voice inside us whispers the same lie David heard in those caves. You're forgotten. You're too late. God's moved on to someone better. This story isn't about David. It's about you. It's about understanding that the most painful seasons of your life aren't detours from your destiny. They're the forge where your destiny is being built. Every moment of struggle, every season of waiting, every dark night in the wilderness. It's not punishment. It's preparation. Imagine being 17 years old and having a prophet anoint you as the future king of Israel. Samuel pours oil on your head and tells you that God has chosen you. You feel it. That anointing is real. So you wait. You dream about it. You practice for it. You can almost taste it. Then everything changes. You're brought into King Saul's court. You play music for him. You become close to his son Jonathan. You taste what it might feel like to be in power, to be part of the inner circle. And then one moment of jealousy changes everything. Saul sees your favor. Saul sees the people calling your name. And Saul decides you must die. You run. You're no longer the anointed young man with a dream. You're a fugitive. You hide in caves. You eat honey from a honeycomb while your followers have nothing. Your own father, your own family members, you have to move them to another country to protect them because Saul's rage is unstoppable. You watch your reputation crumble. Your name becomes synonymous with betrayal and treason, even though you've done nothing wrong. And here's the part that breaks us. You had a chance to kill him. Multiple times. You could have ended this. You could have forced your destiny into being. But something inside you refused. Even when your men urged you to do it, even when you stood over Saul sleeping and could have ended everything, you refused to take what you thought belonged to you. You let God be God. And that refusal cost you everything. For years, 13 years of running, of hiding, of sleeping in caves while wild animals howled outside, of watching your enemies multiply, of wondering if that anointing was real or if it was all a cruel dream. 13 years of waiting for a promise that seemed to be getting further away, not closer. That's the part we don't talk about in Sunday school. That's the part where faith doesn't look like victory. It looks like defeat. It looks like losing. It looks like being forgotten. But here's what we miss when we skip over this part of David's story. Those 13 years weren't a delay on the way to his destiny. They were his destiny. Every night in a cave, every moment of hunger, every decision to show mercy when he could have shown vengeance. Every time he worshipped God when God felt completely absent. Those moments were carving something into David's soul that couldn't be carved any other way. He was learning what it means to trust when you have nothing. He was learning what it means to show mercy when you have the power to crush. He was learning what it means to forgive the people who destroy you. He was learning what it means to be a servant before you ever become a king. And those lessons, those aren't nice add-ons to leadership. They're everything. They're the difference between a king who rules through fear and a king who rules through love. They're the difference between someone who wields power and someone who's worthy of power. The ancient writers understood something we've forgotten. You don't become great during your moment of promotion. You become great in the wilderness. You become great when no one is watching. You become great when you have nothing left to lose but your integrity, and you choose to keep it anyway. That's where character is forged. Not in the light, in the darkness. And then something shifted. Saul died, not by David's hand, by God's hand, the very thing David refused to do for 13 years. God did it without David having to compromise his conscience. The very throne David was promised. It came not through force or ambition or his own timing, but through surrender to God's timing. When David finally wore the crown, he wasn't the same 17-year-old who received the anointing. He was scarred. He was tested. He had been broken and put back together by the hand of God. And because of that, he could lead. Not perfectly, David would make mistakes, would fall into sin, would struggle. But he could lead with a heart that understood suffering, that understood forgiveness, that understood mercy. He could lead a nation because he had first learned to follow God in the wilderness. That's when everything became clear. The 13 years weren't a punishment for David. They were a gift. They were God saying, I'm not just giving you a crown. I'm making you into the kind of person who's worthy of wearing it. I'm not just handing you a throne. I'm building your character so that when you sit on it, you'll use it to serve instead of to dominate. I'm not just promoting you. I'm preparing you. Right now, you might be in your own cave. You might be running. You might be wondering if God forgot about you, if you've missed your window, if you're too far gone or too delayed or too broken to ever step into what you were meant to become. And I need you to hear this with everything inside you. Your waiting is not your punishment. Your struggle is not your failure. Your wilderness is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your real story. God isn't delaying your destiny. He's building you. Every night you choose to trust when it would be easier to despair. Every moment you choose mercy when you could choose vengeance. Every season you show up and do the work even though no one's watching, even though there's no applause, even though it looks like you're going nowhere. Every single one of those moments is counting. Every single one is shaping you into the person who's actually capable of carrying the dreams God has put inside you. David didn't become the greatest king of Israel despite his 13 years in the cave. He became the greatest king because of them. The kingdom needed a king who had been tested by fire, a king who knew what it meant to have nothing, a king who had learned that power without character is just tyranny. Your cave is your classroom. Your wilderness is your gym. Your waiting is your preparation. And when your time comes, and it will come, you won't just step into your destiny. You'll be ready for it. You'll be prepared for it. You'll be the kind of person who can carry it with integrity, with strength, with a heart that's been refined in the fire and come out stronger. You're not behind. You're being prepared. Trust that. Live that. And watch what God does with a life that refuses to give up in the darkness.